children, I am Dr. Pallavi Patnaik and I welcome you all to another refreshing episode of EduSat. I am sure, my dear children, all of you would be benefiting from the classes that have been conducted by EduSat for you so far. Today, we have a very interesting poem in hand. What is it? You will learn about it now. It is Home and Love. Children, before going into the details of this particular chapter, I wish all of you to keep your textbooks ready and your copies and pencils ready as well, so that as I explain it stanza by stanza, you will be able to note down the explanations whichever you feel are important to you for the purpose of examination. Now, before we go into the details of the chapter, I will like to tell you something about the poet. Now, who is the poet? The poet is Robert Service, and he was one of the most commercially successful poets of the century. Yet, his most popular works are considered somewhat mediocre by his literary contemporaries. During his lifetime, he was nicknamed the Canadian Kipling. You can also see the image of Robert Service, and this is something in short that I would like you to remember about him. Now, moving on, let's come to stanza 1. Now, all of you look into your textbooks or to the screens, whichever is convenient for you. Let's read out stanza 1. Just home and love, the words are small, 4 little letters unto each. And yet, you will not find in all the world and gracious range of speech two more so tenderly complete. When angels talk in heaven above, I'm sure they have no words more sweet than home and love. So, what does this particular stanza mean? Now, children, pay attention. The atmosphere of this poem can be immediately described in a few simple words, such as optimistic, perhaps light for sure, and happy as well. The language used is dominated by words such as love, gracious, tenderly, angels, and sweet. The insertion of an exclamation point in the first line and the perfect pattern that adds an almost sing-song like aspect to the reading of the verse also help us in this regard. It is undeniable that this is meant to be read in an almost joyful manner, and the joy of the speaker is not masked at all. So, children, I am sure you would have understood stanza 1 along with its explanation. Now, let us move on to the next slide. The meaning contained in this verse is fairly straightforward. So, what does the narrator wish to say? The narrator spends this time musing on the power of two simple words and wonders whether or not there are any words in English language to convey more happiness than home and love. Throughout the words heaven, home and love are all written in capital letters. The capitalization of heaven makes sense. Now, children, as I explain each stanza, I will also be giving you explanations for the same. These are explanations which you would be needing for the purpose of examination, so please pay attention. The capitalization of heaven, why does it make sense? It is depending on the speaker's definition, a place, and therefore arguably a proper noun. But the capitalization of home and love is a bit vague in this context. Now, the inclusion of angels in heaven brings an element of religion and faith in this poem. These are references to ancient religions, wherein a sign of respect to the divine, words associated with God are capitalized. Him being a very common example. It may be that the speaker is suggesting that home and love are wonderful and joyous enough to be considered godly in nature. Now, another potential reason for this would be to signify that, contrary to the description of these simple words, they are complicated enough in meaning that they can be capitalized as proper nouns, implying that love can be a place or a person and as important or complex in the life of someone who has it. Now, stanza 2. Children, pay attention as we move on to the next stanza. You can read on the screen or you can read from the text. So, let's begin. Just home and love. It's hard to guess which of the two were best to gain. Home without love is bitterness. Love without home is often pain. No, each alone will seldom do. Somehow they travel hand in glove. If you win one, you must have two, both home and love. Now children, this is a very important stanza because it has certain philosophy attached to it. What is it? Let us go into details. The philosophical musings of the whimsical speaker continue into the second verse, this time contemplating the need for the two concepts to fulfill each other. The speaker suggests that there is very little purpose in having a home without love, or the other way around, to have one or the other alone would seldom do, and for some people one or the other is all that's needed. But generally speaking, a home without any love in it is just an empty place, and love without a home is just an emotion without any stability. While it is difficult to say just a home or just love, both things are crucial aspects of life after all. The idea that the two are worth more than the sum of their parts is a powerful one that drives the poem and maintains its optimistic atmosphere. The idea of both home and love together is nothing especially groundbreaking, but the speaker's view is still embodied by the language and beat of the piece. Now, moving on to stanza 3. Children, listen carefully. And if you have both, well then I am sure you ought to sing the whole day long. It doesn't matter if you are poor. With these to make divine your song, and so I praise fully repeat, when angels talk in heaven above, there are no words more simply sweet than home and love. The poem concludes its musing by pointing out that the concepts of home and love can be enough on their own to make life joyous. The optimistic imagery and language make a return to form in these words with words like sing, divine, song and praisefully. Not actually a word, but praise is clear enough. Neither home nor love are physical concepts, but according to the speaker, they transcend physical needs. A person with a home and love to fill, it needs little else. The poem concludes by reiterating a concept from the first verse, that even the angels in heaven probably have no words more beautiful than those two simple words with more meaning than can accurately be summarized with 4 letters. Now children, the poem is a short one, but the stanzas have a deep meaning. That is why I told you, please keep your copies and pencils ready while I explain each stanza. Home and love. These are very powerful words according to Robert Service. Even angels in heaven think that these words are godly, and therefore the poet has made it a point to capitalize them. These words are indeed powerful. Love is one of the strongest emotions known to man, and there is no place sweeter than home for us human beings, because home is such a place where we act our worst but are still loved. So, one complements the other. A home filled with love is something that all human beings desire. And that is what the poet tries to convey. There is nothing more precious than being loved, and there is no place sweeter than home on earth. That is why we come across a line, home sweet home, isn't it? So that is what Robert Service tries to convey. I am sure all of you would have noted down the explanation of the three stanzas which I just explained to you. At the same time, you would have noted down the difficult words. Now we will move on to the question answer section. Children, remember, if you remember the meaning of each stanza, even if you would have left out some question or not answered, you still have the ability to complete your answers because you know the explanation of each stanza. So, let us move on to the question answer section. What is the first question? Read it from your screens, or if you have your textbooks in hand, all the more better. Which words are important in the first line of the poem? So, what will be the answer, children? The answer is very obvious. Home and love are the two important words in the first line of the poem. Now, the second question. Which two words are the sweetest according to the poet? What will be the answer to this particular question? According to the poet, home and love are the sweetest words. Now, children, remember, when you write your answers, there should be no ambiguity. It should be to the point, crisp and very clear. That is why you would be noting in the past few English classes that I have conducted for you, all my answers are crisp and to the point. It will be easier for you to remember and represent during your examinations. Do you think that the meanings of home and love are very wide and gracious? Discuss. Yes, home and love have very wide and gracious meanings. Home is where the heart is, and when everyone in the family love each other with deep love, it becomes a heaven for the people who live in it. And that, my dear children, is the essence of the poem that we have been discussing so far. Home and love, the two sweetest words. Even angels, they say that there is nothing more nectar-like and sweet in comparison to these two words. I am sure all of you have wonderful homes, wonderful parents and loving people around you. All of you would be realizing the value of home and the people living in it who make it the best place for you on earth. So, I am sure all of you would be able to internalize the poem. It's not just that it's there in the text and you're going through it. I am very sure all of you would be feeling the emotion of the poem, what the poet is trying to convey. All of you all would be internalizing it. I am very sure. Now, children, we have been discussing question answers. Let us move on to some more important questions. How many times does the poet repeat home and love? The answer is 7 times. 7 times the poet has repeated the words home and love. How does the sweetness of home link up with love? What will be the answer? Where there is love in the home, there is sweetness in the home. There is tenderness in the home. When there is love in the home, there is peace and it becomes a heavenly feeling for the family members or the people who reside in that particular house. Now, life without home is pain, isn't it? So, what will be the answer from amongst the options agony, suffering and pain? Life without home is pain. Can we separate home and love? What will be the answer, children? Obviously no, we cannot separate home and love, because home without love is bitterness and love without home is often pain. Now, when do you sing in the whole day long? If you have love in the home and you are happy, you tend to sing the whole day long with satisfaction and love. Children, naturally, when one is happy, one tends to sing and dance. So, the answer to the question is very simple. When one is filled with the satisfaction of love and we are happy and contented, we tend to sing joyfully all day long. When angels talk in heavens above, what do they lack? Question number 9. So, what is the answer to that particular question? The angels lack in words sweeter than home and love. Now, once we move on to the next segment, we come across questions that help us appreciate the poem. So, let us look at the next set of questions. The poet compares home with love. Does he find one better than the other? Why not? The poet does not find any better option for the replacement for either words. The poet feels that both words home and love are like hand and glove. They complement each other. Now, there is a particular term, hand and glove. What do you mean by that particular term, hand and glove? It means that they are inseparable. Home and love complement each other. They cannot be separated as such. You cannot find a replacement for them. And those are the sweetest words. Even angels cannot deny the same. So, what will be the answer? The poet does not find any better option for the replacement of either words, as he feels that both words are like hand and glove and they complement one another. Now, what does the next question say? What does the line, the wide and gracious range of speech convey? The wide and gracious range of speech refers to the depth of love. There is a wide range of tenderness in love, and there is graciousness in speech whenever there is love. Children, whenever you speak with love and affection to your near and dear ones, you will see that there is a lot of graciousness and tenderness in your speech. Same ways, as per the question, the wide and gracious range of speech, what does it convey? It conveys the depth of love. Now, what is the next question? Which areas or which ideas do the angels discuss in heaven? The angels discuss about home and love. They talk about there are no words sweeter than the terms love and home. And why does bitterness arise? That is the next question. When there is lack of love in home, there will be bitterness. There is lack of tenderness and peace in home, which creates bitterness inside homes. So, children, remember, since home is compared to heaven, there should always be love, affection and tenderness. If a home is filled with bitterness, if a home is filled with suspicion and doubts, it will become hell for the people who live within it. So, home should always be a place which is filled with tenderness, affection and love. Now, moving on to the next segment. What does one have in a winning position is the next question. What does one have, or when does one have a winning position? When there is both home and love, there is a winning position. Now children, there can be two questions. What does one have for wanting to be in a winning position, or when does one have a winning position? The answer to both the questions will be the same. What will be the answer? When there is both home and love, there is a winning position. Moving on to the next question. What are the three important words in the last two lines which convey the poet's ideas? Now children, if you would have paid attention while I was explaining the stanzas, you will be able to answer these questions in a second. So, what will be the answer? Sweet, home and love are the three important words in the last lines that convey the poet's ideas of love and tenderness. In other words, where there is sweetness and love in homes, there is peace and ultimate happiness. This is the point children which I have been trying to convey to you time and again. Home is comparable to heaven. The people who live in the home make it a heavenly place for us. That is why a home should always be filled with love, tenderness, affection and understanding. Otherwise, it will be a hell for the family members who reside in the home. Moving on to the next question. What message does the poet have for those who have both home and love? What will be the answer children? If one has both home and love, one is happy in life. One leads a contented life. It does not really matter whether one is poor or rich. What matters is that if one has home and love, there is happiness, and happiness makes a person sing with satisfaction all day long. Like I just explained in the stanzas, when you are filled with happiness, when you are brimming with joy, you tend to sing, you tend to dance, your emotions, everything, they find a way of expression. And how do you express yourself? By singing and by dancing. Of course, you feel jolly good when people in your home love you, understand you, empathize with you, care for you, isn't it? And that is what makes a person sing all day long. Now children, after we have discussed this answer, I will want you to remember certain things. When you live in a home with your parents, with your siblings, with your family members, always try to be honest with one another. Always be happy together, because the moments that you spend with your family are the most precious moments. Angels even say that there is nothing sweeter than home and love. From my personal experience, I'll tell you, as you grow older in your years, you will find that there is no sweeter place than your home. There are no more amazing people than your parents. And your siblings are your best friends throughout your life. And it is only they who make your home a wonderful place to live in. This, I think, children, will help you in life. As you move ahead in life, you are all teenagers now. As you move ahead in life, these things will help you. These ideas will nurture you. And you will find, as we end this poem, that you can internalize, you can actually feel the emotions of the poet, what he is trying to convey. Like I said, all of you have very beautiful homes, amazing parents, wonderful siblings. So, one and all can internalize with the poem that Robert Service has written, and it is such a happy poem that also it will make you sing all day long. If you actually understand the gist of the poetry well, even you will sing with satisfaction all day long. I hope children, all of you would have understood the poem well and written down whatever is important. Now, in the next segment and in the upcoming episodes, we will be discussing very interesting things. So, for now, I am sure that all of you would be preparing for your examination purpose, and these notes and question answers will help you along the way. Thank you, children.